or weapon to drive away Maya is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Wow, I never knew that. That's good news. In this age, the Narayana Astra, or weapon to drive away Maya, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in pursuance of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, such as Advaita and Nityananda, Gadadhara, and Srivasa. Okay, that's good news. A very auspicious thing to hear early in the morning like this. Text 2. As soon as Dhruva Maharaj joined the Narayana Astras, joined the Narayana Astra arrow to his bow, the illusion created by the Yakshas was immediately vanquished, just as all material pains and pleasures are vanquished when one becomes fully cognizant of the self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna is like the sun, and Maya, or the illusory energy of Krishna, is like darkness. Darkness means absence of light. Similarly, Maya means absence of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness and Maya are always there side by side. As soon as there is awakening of Krishna consciousness, all the illusory pains and pleasures of material existence are vanquished. Mayam etam tarantite. Constant chanting of the Maha Mantra will keep us always aloof from the illusory energy of Maya. Okay, that's very good news. Therefore, we should always chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Not be afraid of anything. Text 3. Even as Dhruva Maharaj fixed the weapon made by Narayana Rishi onto his bow, arrows with golden shafts and feathers like the wings of a swan flew out from him. It's amazing. They entered the enemy soldiers with a great hissing sound, just as peacocks enter a forest with tumultuous crowing. Very interesting. Text number 4. Those sharp arrows dismayed the enemy soldiers, who became almost unconscious. But various yakshas in the battlefield, in a rage against Dhruva Maharaj, somehow or other collected their weapons and attacked. Just as serpents agitated by Garuda rush towards Garuda with upraised hoods, all the yaksha soldiers prepared to overcome Dhruva Maharaj with their upraised weapons. When Dhruva Maharaj saw the yakshas coming forward, he immediately took his arrows and cut the enemies to pieces, separating their arms, legs, heads, and bellies from their bodies. He delivered the yakshas to the planetary system, which is situated above the sun globe and which is attainable only by first-class brahmacharis who have never discharged their semen. Well, you see, his arrows were actually mercy. He liberated so many of these yakshas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. To be killed by the Lord or by his devotees is auspicious for non-devotees. Yakshas were killed indiscriminately by Dhruva Maharaj, but they attained the planetary system, attainable only for brahmacharis who never discharged their semen. Now look, let's get something straight here. We don't want you going around killing people, thinking that they're going to be liberated. But the thing that we should take away from this statement is that we should never waste semen. because that is our life, what we call, what is maintaining our life in good health. So it's very important to maintain and preserve semen, not waste it. As the impersonalist jnanis, or the demons, killed by the Lord attain Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Persons killed by a devotee of the Lord also attain Satyaloka. To reach the Satyaloka planet system described here, one has to be elevated high above the sun group. Well, that means very, very auspicious. Killing, therefore, is not always bad. If the killing is done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee, or in great sacrifices, it is for the benefit of the entity killed in that way. Well, we have to be careful here. Some people will read this and they'll say, oh, well, it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, killing is not a bad thing. No, it shouldn't kill anyone or anything. Material so-called non-violence is very insignificant in comparison to killing done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees. Even when a king or the state government kills a person who is a murderer, that killing is for the benefit of the murderer, for thus he may become cleared of all sinful reactions. Well, here is the best statement for capital punishment. So many wimpy people, they say, oh, it's not nice to kill that man who murdered my daughter. No, such people have to be killed for their benefit. That helps to clear their sinful reactions. The benefit of the murderer, that killing is for the benefit of the murderer, for thus he may become cleared of all sinful reactions. So here you are. This is the best statement for capital punishment. An important word in this verse is urdhva retasa, which means brahmacharis who have never discharged semen. Celibacy is so important that even though one does not undergo any austerities, penances, or ritualistic ceremonies prescribed in the Vedas, if one simply keeps himself a pure brahmachari, not discharging his semen, the result is that after death, he goes to the Satyaloka. Well, that's good, but it's not good enough. We don't want to just go to the Satyaloka, which is good, but we want to go back to Godhead. But a stepping stone going back to Godhead is to maintain celibacy and not wasting one's semen. An important word in this verse is urdhva retasa, which means brahmacharis who have never discharged semen. Celibacy is so important that even though one does not undergo any austerities, penances, or ritualistic ceremonies prescribed in the Vedas, if one simply keeps himself a pure brahmachari, not discharging his semen, the result is that after death, he goes to the Satyaloka. Generally, sex life is the cause of all miseries in the material world. Well, that should be a major statement. It is a major statement, and we should publicize that. Generally, sex life is the cause of all miseries in the material world. In the Vedic civilization, sex life is restricted in various ways. Out of the whole population of the social structure, only the grihastas are allowed restricted sex life. All others refrain from sex. The people of this age, especially, do not know the value of not discharging semen. Yeah, that's definitely a correct statement. As such, they are variously entangled with material qualities and suffer an existence of struggle only. The word urdhva retasa especially indicates the Mayavadi sannyasis who undergo strict principles of austerity. But in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16, the Lord says that even if one goes up to Brahmaloka, he again comes back. Brahma Bhuvanaloka Punar Avartana Rijna. Therefore, actual mukti or liberation can be attained only by devotional service, because by devotional service one can go above Brahmaloka or to the spiritual world, wherefrom he never comes back. Mayavadi sannyasis are very proud of becoming liberated, but actual liberation is not possible unless one is in touch with the Supreme Lord in devotional service. It is said, Harim Bina Naiva Sritim Taranti. Without Krishna's mercy, no one can have liberation. Okay, so several takeaways from this purport. The main thing is that Urdhva Retasa, which means brahmacharis who have never discharged semen. Celibacy is so important that even though one does not undergo any austerities, penances, or ritualistic ceremonies prescribed in the Vedas, if one simply keeps himself a pure brahmachari, not discharging his semen, the result is that after death, he goes to the Satyaloka. Well, it's still not the spiritual world. Satyaloka, though, is the highest, let's say, achievement in the material world, but not the spiritual world. Generally, sex life is the cause of all miseries in the material world. In the Vedic civilization, sex life is restricted in various ways. Out of the whole population of social structure, only the grihastas allowed restricted sex life. All others refrain from sex. When it says restricted sex life, it means engaging in sex only to have children, not anything else. All others refrain from sex. The people of this age especially do not know the value of not discharging semen. As such, they are variously entangled with material qualities and suffer an existence of struggle only. The word urdhva retasa especially indicates the Mayavadi sannyasis who undergo strict principles of austerity. But in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16, the Lord says that even if one goes up to Brahmaloka, he again comes back. Brahma Bhuvanaloka Punar Avartina Rijna. Therefore, actual mukti or liberation or devotional service can go above Brahmaloka or to the spiritual world, wherefrom he never comes back. Mayavadi sannyasis are very proud of becoming liberated, but actually, liberation is not possible unless one is in touch with the Supreme Lord in devotional service. It is said, Harim Bina Naiva Sritim Taranti. Without Krishna's mercy, no one can have liberation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Text number 6. When Swayambhuva Manu saw that his grandson, Dhruva Maharaj, was killing so many of the yakshas, who were not actually offenders, out of his great compassion, he approached Dhruva with great sages to give him good instruction. Yeah, we should never kill unnecessarily. Dhruva Maharaj attacked Alakapuri, the city of the Yakshas, because His brother was killed by one of them. Actually, only one of the citizens, not all of them, was guilty of killing his brother, Uttama. Maharaj, of course, took a very serious step when his brother was killed by the Yakshas. War was declared and the fighting was going on. This sometimes happens in present days also. For one man's fault, a whole state is sometimes attacked.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of wholesale attack is not approved by Manu, the father and lawgiver of the human race. He therefore wanted to stop his grandson Dhruva from continuing to kill the Yaksha citizens who were not offenders. Yeah, so you don't want to overkill people when there's one person that's been killed and take revenge by killing everybody. That's not a good thing to do. Lord Manu said, my dear son, please stop. It is not good to become unnecessarily angry. It is a path to hellish life. Now you are going beyond the limit by killing yakshas who are actually not offenders. Very good advice. In this verse, the word atirosena means with unnecessary anger. When Dhruva Maharaj went beyond the limits of necessary anger, his grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, immediately came to protect him from further sinful action. From this, we can understand that killing is not bad, but when killing is done unnecessarily, or when an offenseless person is killed, such killing opens the path to hell. Dhruva Maharaja was saved from such sinful action because he was a great devotee. And also because he was getting advice, good advice, from more, let's say, more advanced devotees. A Kshatriya is allowed to kill only for maintenance of the law and order of the state. He is not allowed to kill or commit violence without reason. Violence is certainly a path leading to a hellish condition of life, but it is also required for maintenance of the law and order of the state. Here, Lord Manu prohibited Dhruva Maharaj from killing the Yakshas because only one of them was punishable for killing his brother Uttama. Not all of the Yaksha citizens were punishable. We find in modern warfare, however, that attacks are made upon innocent citizens who are without fault. According to the law of Manu, such warfare is a most sinful activity. Hey, people should know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, at the present moment, civilized nations are unnecessarily maintaining many slaughterhouses for killing innocent animals. When a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their own sinful activities. That is nature's law. Let's read that one more at a time. When a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their own sinful activities. This is nature's law. Okay. So it's not only killing human beings, but it's also maintaining slaughterhouses for killing innocent animals. And when a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their own sinful activities. That is nature's law. Text number 8. My dear son, the killing of the sinless yakshas, which you have undertaken, is not at all approved by authorities. And it does not befit our family which is supposed to know the laws of religion and irreligion. Very good statement. Text number 9. My dear son, it has been proved that you are very much affectionate towards your brother and are greatly aggrieved at his being killed by the yakshas. But just consider, for one yaksha's offense, you have killed many others who are innocent. Text 10. And this is what the Nazis were doing. If one Nazi was killed by they would kill 10 or 100 people. That is very sinful. One should not accept the body as the self, and thus, like the animals, kill the bodies of others. This is especially forbidden by saintly persons who follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God. So, in other words, unnecessary killing is sinful. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The words sadhunam rishikeshanam vartinam are very important, are very significant. Sadhu means a saintly person. But who is a saintly person? A saintly person is he who follows the path of rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesha. Rishikesha means he's the owner of all the senses. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is said, Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. The process of rendering favorable service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with one's senses is called bhakti, or devotional service. Therefore, why should a person who is already engaged in the service of the Lord engage himself in personal sense gratification? Well, that is a good question. Dhruva Maharaj is advised here by Lord Manu that he is a pure servitor of the Lord. Why should he unnecessarily engage, like the animals, in the bodily concepts of life? An animal thinks that the body of another animal is his food. Therefore, in the bodily concept of life, one animal attacks another. A human being, especially one who is a devotee of the Lord, should not act like this. A sadhu, a saintly devotee, is not supposed to kill animals unnecessarily. Text 11. It is very difficult to achieve spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planets. It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planets. But you are so fortunate that you are already destined to go to that abode by worshiping him as the supreme abode of all living entities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and the super soul. The spirit soul is dependent on the super soul, who is present even within the atom. Therefore, since anything, material or spiritual, is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is referred to here as Buddhavasa. Yuga Maharaj, as a Kshatriya, could have argued with his grandfather, Manu, when Manu requested him to stop fighting. But even though Yuga could have argued that, as a Kshatriya, it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he was informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord and can be considered a temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted. Yeah, every human being is a temple of the Lord because Krishna is in their heart. So we should be very careful not to commit unnecessary violence on anyone. That's why it says that even though Dhruva could have argued that as a Kshatriya, it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he wasn't informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord, yeah, because the Lord is in the heart of every living entity. And can be considered a temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted. That's how we should see. We should see that everyone is a temple of the Lord, because the Lord is in the heart of every living entity. So we should be very careful about unnecessarily punishing people. Yes, there is good reason to punish really bad people, but we should not go beyond a certain point. That is punishing innocent people. That should not happen. And the punishment of unholy people, well, that also, there's a limit to how much they should be punished. And many times you'll see that in the United States, someone is put in jail and they end up in jail for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And it is proven that that person never actually committed a crime. It happens not every day, but it happens. So we have to be very careful before we judge a person. And text number 12, because you are a pure devotee of the Lord is always thinking of you, and you are also recognized by all his confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior. I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? So what is he talking about? He's talking about Dhruva Maharaj killing unnecessarily yakshas. I mean, he killed the ones that killed his brother, but he should not have gone beyond that point. Purport: Dhruva Maharaj was a pure devotee and was accustomed to always thinking of the Lord. Reciprocally, the Lord always thinks of those pure devotees who think of him only, 24 hours a day. As a pure devotee does not know anything beyond the Lord, so the Lord does not know anything beyond his pure devotees. Swayambhuva pointed out this fact to Dhruva Maharaj. Now, not only are you a pure devotee, but you are recognized by all pure devotees of the Lord. You should always act in such an exemplary way that others may learn from you. Under the circumstances, it is surprising that you have killed so many faultless yakshas. Wow. Text number, let's see, text number 13. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotees when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So this is a real statement of the culture of genuine devotees. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. Purport of Srila Prabhupada. It is the duty of an advanced devotee in the second stage of devotional perfection to act in accordance with this verse. There are three stages of devotional life. In the lowest stage, a devotee is simply concerned with the deity in the temple, and he worships the Lord with great devotion, according to rules and regulations. In the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with fellow devotees, his relationship with persons who are innocent, and his relationship with persons who are envious. Sometimes devotees are ill-treated by envious persons. It is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. He should show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent. A preacher devotee is meant to show mercy to innocent persons whom he can elevate to devotional service. Everyone, by constitutional position, is an eternal servant of God. Therefore, a devotee's business is to awaken everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is his mercy. As for a devotee's treatment of other devotees who are his equals, he should maintain friendship with them. His general view should be to see every living entity as part of the Supreme Lord. Different living entities appear in different forms of dress, but according to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, a learned person sees all living entities equally. Such treatment by the devotee is very much appreciated by the Supreme Lord. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person is always tolerant and merciful. He is a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and he is peaceful. These are some of the good qualities of a devotee. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So there's a very good takeaway here. Purport. First of all, the verse says, the Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. And in the purport, it says, it is the duty of an advanced devotee in the second stage of devotional perfection to act in accordance with this verse. There are three stages of devotional life. In the lowest stage, a devotee is simply concerned with the deity in the temple, and he worships the Lord with great devotion, according to the rules and regulations. In the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with fellow devotees, his relationship with persons who are innocent, and his relationship with persons who are envious. Sometimes devotees are ill-treated by envious persons. It is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. He should show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent. A preacher devotee is meant to show mercy to innocent persons whom he can elevate to devotional service. Everyone, by constitutional position, is an eternal servant of God. Therefore, a devotee's business is to awaken everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is his mercy. As for a devotee's treatment of other devotees who are his equals, he should maintain friendship with them. His general view should be to see every living entity as part of the Supreme Lord. Different living entities appear in different forms of dress, but according to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, a learned person sees all living entities equally. Such treatment by the devotee is very much appreciated Guess by whom? By the Supreme Lord. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person is always tolerant and merciful. He is a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and he is peaceful. These are some of the good qualities of a devotee. Well, that's very, very wonderful information. And we should heed or follow these instructions. Text number 14. One who actually satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead during one's lifetime becomes liberated from the gross and subtle material conditions. In other words, one who actually satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, meaning offering service with love and devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead during one's lifetime becomes liberated from the gross and subtle material conditions. Thus, being free from all material modes of nature, he achieves unlimited spiritual bliss. Haribol. That is very good information. In the previous verse, it has been explained that one should treat all living entities with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. By such behavior, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And upon his satisfaction, the devotee immediately becomes free from all material conditions. That should be our major takeaway in today's lessons. The Lord also confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who sincerely and seriously engages in my service immediately becomes situated in the transcendental stage, wherein he can enjoy unlimited spiritual bliss. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard in order to achieve blissful life. Unfortunately, people do not know how to achieve it. Atheists do not believe in God, and certainly they do not please him. Here it is clearly said that upon pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one immediately attains to the spiritual platform and enjoys unlimited blissful life. To become free from material existence means to become free from the influence of material nature. The word samprasane, which is used in this verse, means being satisfied. A person should act in such a way that the Lord is satisfied by activity. By the activity. It is not that he himself is to be satisfied. Of course, when the Lord is satisfied, the devotee automatically becomes satisfied. This is the secret of the process of bhakti yoga. In other words, we should always act for the satisfaction of the Lord. Materialistic people always act for their own satisfaction. But the secret of the process of bhakti yoga is to act always for the satisfaction of the Lord. Outside of bhakti yoga, everyone is trying to satisfy himself. No one is trying to satisfy the Lord. Karmis grossly try to satisfy their senses, but even those who are elevated to the platform of knowledge also try to satisfy themselves in a subtle form. I like that statement. Karmis try to satisfy themselves by sense gratification, and jnanis try to satisfy themselves by subtle activities or mental speculation and thinking themselves to be God. Yogis also try to satisfy themselves by thinking they can achieve different mystic perfections. But only devotees try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees' process of self-realization is completely different from the processes of the karmis, gyanis, and yogis. Everyone else is trying to satisfy himself, whereas the devotee tries only to satisfy the Lord. The devotional process is completely different from the others. By working to please the Lord, by engaging his senses in the Lord's loving service, the devotee is immediately situated on the transcendental platform, and he enjoys unlimited blissful life.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so that's a very, very profound statement. We shouldn't be hankering for material benefits. Or in other words, anything for our own satisfaction. That's why he says, when the Lord is satisfied, the devotee automatically becomes satisfied. This is the secret of the process of bhakti yoga. There you are. That's something we should take note of. When the Lord is satisfied, the devotee automatically becomes satisfied. This is the secret of the process of bhakti yoga. So Prabhupada doesn't always say this is the secret. He does say it in different places, but it's seldomly said like this. That means that this is of utmost importance. He's revealing how you can be successful in spiritual life. This is the secret of the process of bhakti yoga. Outside of bhakti yoga, everyone is trying to satisfy himself. No one is trying to satisfy the Lord. Karmis grossly try to satisfy the senses, but even those who are elevated to the platform of knowledge also try to satisfy themselves in a subtle form. Karmis try to satisfy themselves by sense gratification, and jnanis try to satisfy themselves by subtle activities or mental speculation, and thinking themselves to be God. Yogis also try to satisfy themselves by thinking that they can achieve different mystic perfection. But only the devotees try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's process of self-realization is completely different from the processes of the karmis, jnanis, and yogis. Everyone else is trying to satisfy himself, whereas the devotee tries only to satisfy the Lord. The devotional process is completely different from the others. By working to please the Lord, by engaging his senses in the Lord's loving service, the devotee is immediately situated on the transcendental platform, and he enjoys unlimited blissful life. There you are. That's the secret to unlimited blissful life. Always try to satisfy the Lord by our thoughts and our actions. In other words, Prabhupada would always sign his letters, your ever well wisher. That should be our culture. We should be ever well wishers. Text number 50. The creation of the material world begins with the 5 elements, and thus everything, including the body of a man or a woman, is created of these elements. By the sexual life of man and woman, the number of men and women in this material world is further increased. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Swayambhuva saw that Dhruva Maharaja understood the philosophy of Vaishnavism, and yet was still dissatisfied because of his brother's death, he gave him an explanation of how this material body is created by the 5 elements of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also confirmed, Prakriti Kriyamanani. Everything is created, maintained, and annihilated by the material modes of nature. In the background, of course, there is the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayadakshina, in the 9th chapter. Krishna says, under my superintendence, material nature is acting. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to impress Dhruva Maharaj that the death of the material body of his brother was not actually the Yaksha's fault. It was an act of the material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has immense varieties of potencies, and they act in different gross and subtle ways. It is by such powerful potencies that the universe is created, although grossly it appears to be no more than the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Similarly, the bodies of all species of living entities, whether human beings or demigods, animals or birds, are also created by the same 5 elements, and by sexual union they expand into more and more living entities. That is the way of creation, maintenance and annihilation. One should not be disturbed by the waves of material nature in this process. Dhruva Maharaja was indirectly advised not to be afflicted by the death of his brother, because our relationship with the body is completely material. The real self, the spirit soul, is never annihilated or killed by anyone. Well, this is all real knowledge that is not taught in schools. We have to learn it from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But the major statement here is the real self, the spirit soul, is never annihilated or killed by anyone. Yeah, we have an eternal soul. We have to understand that. And act like an eternal soul, which is always be benevolent and self-controlled and always a well-wisher of others, and dedicated to pleasing Krishna by all our thoughts and actions. Manu continued, my dear King Dhruva, it is simply by the illusory material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by the interaction of the 3 modes of material nature that creation, maintenance, and annihilation take place. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. First, creation takes place with the ingredients of the 5 elements of material nature. Then, by the interaction of the modes of material nature, maintenance also takes place. When a child is born, the parents immediately see to its maintenance. This tendency for maintenance of offspring is present not only in human society, but in animal society as well. Even tigers take care for their cubs, although their propensity is to eat other animals. That's a nice statement. But sometimes the male tigers will eat the baby tigers. By the interaction of the material modes of nature, creation, maintenance, and also annihilation take place inevitably. But at the same time, we should know that all is conducted under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of God. Everything is going on under that process. In other words, not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Creation is the action of the Raja Guna, the mode of passion. Maintenance is the action of Sattva Guna, the mode of goodness, and annihilation is the action of Tama Guna, the mode of ignorance. We can see that those who are situated in a mode of goodness live longer than those who are situated in the Tamo Guna or Rajo Guna. In other words, if one is elevated to the mode of goodness, he is elevated to a higher planetary system where the duration of life is very great. Urdvam Gachanti Sattvastha. Great rishis, sages, and sannyasis who maintain themselves in sattva guna or the mode of material goodness are elevated to a higher planetary planet. Those who are transcendental even to the material modes of nature are situated in the mode of pure goodness. They attain eternal life in the spiritual world. Haribol. My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. He is the remote cause of the creation of this material cosmic manifestation. When he gives the impetus, many other causes and effects are produced, and thus the whole universe moves just as iron moves by the integrated force of the magnet. A very nice statement. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. How the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead works within this material world is explained in this verse. Everything is happening by the energy of the Supreme Lord. The atheistic philosophers who do not agree to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the original cause of creation think that the material world moves by the action and reaction of different material elements. Well, that's what the scientists believe today. Their whole scientific research is based on that principle. They do not accept the existence of a supernatural influence of exalted personalities and universe. They think that there are just laws of material nature that are functioning, but they don't accept the existence of the lawmaker. That is their, let's say, biggest mistake. So it says, the atheistic philosophers who do not agree to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the original cause of creation think that the material world moves by the action and reaction of different material elements. There it is. That's a very good statement. And this is the basis of modern science. This is what is being taught in schools. A simple example of the interaction of elements occurs when we mix soda and acid, and the movement of the effervescence is produced. But one cannot produce life by such interaction of chemicals. There are 8,400,000 different species of life with different wishes and different actions. How the material force is working cannot be explained just on the basis of chemical reaction. A suitable example in this connection is that of the, a suitable example in this connection is that of the potter and the potter's wheel. The potter's wheel rotates, and several varieties of earthen pots come out. There are many causes for the earthen pots, but the original cause is the potter who sets a force on the wheel. That force comes by his superintendence. The same idea is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Beyond all material actions and reactions, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy, and yet he is I'm sorry. And yet, he is
not everywhere.
He is behind all material action and reaction. I'm sorry. The same idea is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Behind all material action and reaction, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that everything depends on his energy. And yet, he is not everywhere. The pot is produced under certain conditions of action and reaction of material energy. But the potter is not in the pot. I like that. The potter is not in the pot. In a similar way, the material creation is set up by the Lord, but he remains aloof. As stated in the Vedas, he simply glanced over it, and the agitation of matter immediately began. Yes, the Lord does not have to physically do anything. He can simply make things happen by looking, not necessarily by touching and working. That's
Maharaj.
Yeah.
Maharaj, here it says the potter is not in, he's not in the pot. He makes the pot, but he's not in the pot.
Yeah.
But in living entities and like in all atoms of the universe, the Lord is present as Paramatma. He's there. Like in a way, the potter is also in the pot. How should we understand that, Maharaj, with this statement?
Though it says the potter is not in the pot.
Yeah, here yes, it says the potter is not in the pot.
Yeah.
But the Lord is, as Paramatma is in every atom. So in a way, he is there in every pot. If we say an atom is a pot.
Well, a potter is a human being. Krishna, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can do anything he wants. So he can be in the pot if he wants. Nothing can happen without his actions. What are the actions of the Lord? He gives knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So the idea that the potter is not in the pot, that's a material thing. But Krishna is present in everything, including the pot. So that statement, the potter is not in the pot, well, yeah, that's because living entities are not omnipresent. But Krishna is omnipresent. He's present everywhere. He's present in the pot, he's present outside of the pot. So that's just a way of glorifying Krishna when you say the potter is not in the pot, but Krishna is everywhere. So we cannot, as human beings, be in everything, but Krishna is present in everything. Nothing is functioning without the presence and the potency of the Lord. This is the first thing we have to learn in spiritual life. That nothing moves without the mercy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that the Lord impregnates the material energy with the part and parcel jivas. And thus, the different forms and different activities immediately ensue. Because of the different desires and karmic activities of the jiva soul, different types of bodies and different species are produced. In Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of the living entity as spirit soul, and therefore his explanation of evolution is incomplete. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three material modes. But the original creator or the cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matcham, the remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. According to the Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms, but that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material gunas, although he is the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma says, therefore, in the Brahma Samhita 5.1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. There are many causes and effects, but the original cause is Sri Krishna. Okay, so this is real knowledge that is not taught in schools, unfortunately. And what is taught in school? Darwinism. And according to Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of a living entity as spirit soul. And therefore, his explanation of evolution is incomplete. There it is. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three material modes. But the original creator, or the cause, is the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram, the remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. So this is the problem that the atheists, they don't accept the existence of the Supreme Personality of God. So they make up so many false theories about how nature is moving. And but all their theories are minus Krishna. However, Krishna simply pushes the wheel with his energy. It means he's not touching it, it's simply using his energy. According to Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms, but that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material universe, although he is the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma says, therefore, in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. So Krishna is the Ishvara, controller, supreme controller of everything. Okay, Satchitananda Vigraha, and he is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. He has the form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Anadir Adir Govinda. No one is equal to the Supreme Lord Govinda. Sarva Karana Karana. Therefore, he's the cause of all causes. That's a very significant verse. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Especially that last line. Sarva Karana Karana is the cause of all causes. Okay. Text number 18. Oh, no, I think we're over time now. Sorry. All right, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Pranav. Maharaj, I have two questions kind of. One is that, let's say that if you have to be a part of a jury, if there's a major crime done and you're a part of a jury and
Part of what?
Jury, Maharaj.
jury,
Okay.
and it's a group decision at the end of the day, and what if your decision ends up not just for the accused, and he is put behind bars, or vice versa in case of, I think, OJ Simpson, like how it happened that he was found not guilty by the jury. Maybe he was. So how does that impact as a sin on the juror, or any other profession for that matter. Like a judge might be very sincere, but he might end up giving the wrong this thing punishment or whatever, like based on proofs, or a doctor, even if the doctor is sincere. So any profession for that matter, the intention is right, but they end up making a mistake unknowingly. So is that considered as a sin, or it's excused because the intention was not wrong?
No, it's a sin. If they put a person in jail that didn't commit a crime, that's a sin, whether it's knowing or unknowing. See, there are many sins that are committed unknowingly. Like, for example, when you drive your car, you kill many living entities. You don't realize it. And when you eat some food, you also are killing living entities. And when you are cleaning your house, you're killing living entities. So we are always committing sinful activities. Therefore, we should always chant Hare Krishna and avoid unnecessary killing. Just like, if there are ants in a house, people will buy some kind of chemical, or they'll get some sticky paper and put it in order to kill the ants. Now, is that good or is it bad? Well, it's bad. If the ants are coming in your house, it's because you're not keeping the house very clean. And they have radar. With their radar, they know, oh, this house, there are a lot of good nibbles for us. So we'll go into that house. Right? But if you keep the house very clean, then there's no reason for them to come into your house. There's no food. But they have their own radar by which they can find out where there's food for them. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that we should keep our house very, very clean. Otherwise, eventually, by the supernatural radar of ants and other living entities, our house will be full of all kinds of different living entities soon, because you're putting the food out for them. Just like dogs and cats, they are actually contaminating a house if you keep them in the house. They end up, it ends up, the whole house smells like a dog or a cat. Now, the person who loves the dog and the cat doesn't recognize it anymore. And they're breathing in the smell of the dog and the cat, and they think it's normal. But someone who doesn't have dogs and cats, they walk into the house, immediately they smell the dog and cat, right? So, yes, we should be very careful. I mean, if you want to have a dog, okay, you buy a dog house in the backyard, and the dog can live in that house, but not in the house itself. Otherwise, it'll contaminate the whole house. Of course, people don't realize it because they get used to smelling the dog, the dog smell. But the dog smell is very, very prevalent. And the cat also. The cat's a little bit more subtle, but the cat also. So, our life is not meant to live with dogs and cats in intimacy. Like, sometimes people let the dog sleep with them in the bed, right? And you can't blame the dog. You blame the person. It's not the dog's fault, right?
Everybody
Dogs
does, Maharaj.
Huh?
Who have dogs these days, everybody sleeps with the dog. Because for them, they all want some kind of reciprocation of love. And they get that from the dog. Unfortunately, it's for the body, but as their kids are growing up, or that's what they teach the kids also, to get that love from the dog. And they get attached to that.
Actually, though, when the dog is licking your face, it's thinking, oh, one day I will eat you also. It's getting your taste. It means carnivorous animal.
But they say they are loyal, Maharaj. Why do they say dogs are loyal?
That is okay. That is a fact. But if the person dies and is not buried, the dog will eat the body. Right? Because the
It
dog
also bite you sometimes.
He can
when-
also bite
yeah.
you. And dogs are carnivorous animals. They live off of flesh. Now, if you get a well, that's the same thing for cats and dogs. But if you get a cow, the cow's not going to eat you. The cows, they only eat grass, right? But if you buy a dog, it's potentially dangerous because dogs are carnivorous animals. And it has happened. Look it up on the internet. Sometimes the parent leaves the dog alone with the baby,
Oh, yeah.
right? And when the lady comes back home, the baby's dead. The dog ate the baby or killed the baby. They're carnivorous animals. They eat flesh. So that's the potential that they have. And they just act on instinct. And so there have been examples of the dog. Well, there are other examples of the dog protecting the baby. But there are examples of dogs that eat the baby or kill the baby.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
So I'm definitely not keeping my house clean. I have a lot of ants right now, Maharaj. So how do I clean the home? Because I did this last week. I'm trying to do that now also. How do you clean the home without killing the ants, Maharaj?
Well, you get a vacuum cleaner and you collect all the ants in the vacuum cleaner. And then right away you have to empty
Outside.
it
Outside.
outside.
That's what I did yesterday. I mean, last weekend I broomed the whole home and then.
Well, by a broom, you're going to kill them.
Yeah, okay.
The vacuum cleaner, maybe some of them will get killed, but not all of them. Then you have to empty it right away. Out in the yard or something.
And
Yeah,
continue
look,
to-
you can't live without killing. All of us are killing all the time. We can't avoid it. But we should not kill purposely.
Intentionally.
Yeah. Did you find something? Yeah, but that's nature. One animal kills another animal to exist. So the human beings, they kill other animals in order to exist. However, devotees, they also kill, but they kill vegetables. That's also killing. And they're living entities also. However, it's permitted to kill certain vegetables. There's no karmic reaction. But we should never kill a living entity, higher living entities. There are lower living entities and higher living entities. So a vegetable is a lower living entity. So it is meant for our sustenance. Higher living entities, cats, dogs, going up to human beings, they should not be unnecessarily killed.
Maharaj, that rule is for human beings, right, Maharaj?
Yes.
Because a dog has to, I mean, a cat has to eat a mouse, and then there is no karmic reaction.
Yes. Well, how do we know there's no karmic reaction?
I don't know. I'm assuming because they're acting according to the laws of the nature.
Yeah, they're acting by instinct. And instinct is actually Paramatma. And so their food is, they're carnivorous animals. So if you say, oh, I never give my dog meat, I only give him prasadam. But if he has a chance to eat meat, he will, right? Because that's his nature. He's carnivorous. And I don't really think the dogs stay healthy by just eating vegetables.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that. But,
Yeah, in my childhood, we know one Brahmin family who had a dog, Maharaj.
a Brahmin family.
Yeah, they had a dog. They were always giving milk to the dog. Milk and rice, dal rice, curd rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the dog was happy.
But the dog eventually died.
He what?
The dog died after it got aged. It did live quite a bit of time. But they were always trying to give only vegetarian food. But when they take him out, he would always run behind. You can tell that they're always smelling. If he sees any small animal, he would run behind.
And because he's a dog.
He wants to eat.
He's carnivorous.
Yeah.
I used to have a dog too.
Yeah.
So we eat vegetarian food, but when you take it out, if you find some bone or something, it starts
Right away.
chewing it and all.
They're always smelling when
Yeah.
you want.
It has a tendency.
After you became a devotee?
No, when I was young, like in my college days.
You had a dog in college?
At home, when I was in college. Yeah.
So you were also giving vegetarian food?
Yeah.
In India, they do that much.
What's that?
In India, all these Brahmin families who don't eat meat, if they have a dog, they give vegetarian food.
Oh, okay.
So Maharaj, it gives like two type of information. It is giving two type of information. One is in general when they attack, like when dogs are attacking the owner. Like there are several examples, and plus
will attack the owner. Because
Like
he's hungry.
yeah. So one is like territorial aggregation. A dog may become overly protective of food, toys, or spice, leading to aggregation. Aggregation. If an owner or child gets too close, like if
Well, when he's eating.
eating or someone is taking the dog's toy, like even the owner's child is also taking they get aggregated basically. Second is fear and anxiety.
Aggregated.
It's an aggregation. Aggression. Sorry, I'm
I
pronouncing
didn't
wrong.
understand what you were saying.
Aggression.
Aggressive.
Territorial aggression. Sorry. No,
Territorial aggression.
that's right. And second point, it says fear or anxiety. If a dog feels threatened, trapped, or scared, it may bite out of self-defense.
Yeah.
And the third is resource guarding. Some dogs aggressively guard food, bones, or toys and may snap if a child unknowingly tries to take them.
Yeah.
And another point is rough play gone wrong. And another point is pain or medical issues.
All potential dangerous things that dogs can do because they have natural things. So if they feel threatened or they're not getting enough food, or they see another dog.
That's another.
They see another dog, they start barking, right? That's an adversary for them.
several other points, like predatory instincts, predatory instincts.
Yeah.
Certain dog breeds have strong prey drives and may react unpredictably to fast movements, such as child running.
But react to that.
Another point is lack of training, and then neglect or mistreatment. There are several examples when dogs are attacking the owner or the child.
Yeah, many people go for these breeds like German Shepherds, who are not supposed to be. They can be very dangerous, actually.
Yeah, but
Yes.
even more dangerous are the what do they call the
Doberman Pinscher or whatever.
Doberman is like,
yeah.
these are all like spy dogs.
But they're all meat eaters. They're
Yes.
all capable of eating human flesh if there's nothing else. Yeah. That's their natural food. You can't blame them. Okay. That's why it's nice to have a cow. They don't eat meat. Yes.
One of our relative, they had a dog and many cats. They were living together. So dog was not eating cat.
Yeah.
So they were somehow they were.
Here also a lot of people have 2 dogs, 3 cats. Like there's always a combination.
Yeah. Well, if you want a pet, you can have a cow. That's the best. Cows won't. They're not meat eaters. Number one. And number two, they are their stool is not contaminating. Their stool and urine is not contaminating. And number three, they like to be cuddled, right? They'll be very receptive of massaging them and using a brush, brushing them, things like that. They like it very much. The people think dog is my best friend and cow is my food. It should be opposite.
Dog is not food.
The cow should be my best friend, and the dog, well, keep the dog away. The dog is contaminated. You go to a house where they have a dog, it smells like the dog. Can't help it. They're not used to it, But when you walk into the house, you can smell the odor of the dog right away.
Maharaj, you can say that about the cow also, Maharaj, right? If you keep a cow in the house,
Yeah.
the house will smell like the cow, but the cow's urine and
It's
stool,
pure.
everything is pure.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, I prefer the cow smell than the dog.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have one question.
Yeah.
Here it says the body comes from the 5 elements of the material nature, and our spirit soul comes from the spiritual world. Where does the mind come from, Maharaj? Where does it come from?
Well, you see, the brain or the mind. The mind is different than the brain.
Yes.
Right. It's a subtle element. Where does it come from?
Yes,
It
Maharaj.
comes from Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. Right? It doesn't come from what do you call it? Doesn't come from a supermarket. It comes from Krishna. So what is your question then?
So the question is, so Krishna has both subtle and gross potencies. So the actual body, the brain, it is made from the gross potencies or the elements of the nature.
Yeah.
And from the subtle potencies and elements of the nature, which are all coming from Krishna, that is the basis for the mind.
But anyway, animals are limited,
Mm.
right? They're not equal to human beings, although they're better than some human beings, but they're not equal to human beings. So, what is your question?
Question is, why do we need both, like the gross body and the subtle? Like, why did Krishna create both potencies, or have both potencies? Like, why? What is the purpose
What is the purpose?
of the subtle?
Well, you have to go from one body to another, right? That's why there's a subtle body that can go from one body to another, and it's subject to laws of karma. But if you want to have a spiritual body, then that's your eternal body. But as long as we have material bodies, then there's going to be, the laws of nature, and you're going to have a subtle body that can take you to the next body, next gross body. But we don't need subtle bodies and gross bodies. When we're liberated, we get a spiritual body. A spiritual body is different than both of those other things. So, how do we spiritualize the body? By eating only prasadam and always chanting Hare Krishna. Now you can transform your body from a material body to a spiritual body. So that is the whole purpose of prasadam and chanting Hare Krishna, to spiritualize the body. Otherwise, if we just simply have a material body, well, material body will always be a handicap. There'll always be something that's going to go wrong, and it's going to be always something that we're trying to have sense gratification, always seeking out sense gratification. But if we spiritualize the body, then and the mind, then we're no longer interested in sense gratification. We have sense gratification anyway. So when you're hungry and you eat prasadam, that is a type of sense gratification, but it is not something sinful. We don't eat meat. We don't kill living entities, higher living entities to satisfy our palate. So, yeah, if we live a Krishna conscious life, then we minimize unnecessary killing. We cannot eliminate it because, when you eat a tomato, that's a living entity also. But we don't eat higher order living entities like cats, dogs, human beings, etc. The best thing is to chant Hare Krishna and be satisfied with simple, let's say, prasadam, not be hankering more than that. Sometimes people eat very, very, what you would call high-end food, right? And that's not good either, because you eat very opulent food over time and get sick. Not in the beginning, but you just eat opulent food all the time and get sick. A lot of greasy, oily food. It might taste really good, but it's not so good for you. So we should eat very simple food and be satisfied. Okay, so I think we're at the end. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And our takeaway today is, in Darwin's theory, there is no acceptance of the living entity as spiritual, and therefore his explanation of evolution is incomplete. Varieties of phenomena occur within this universe on account of the actions and reactions of the three modes, the three material modes. But the original creator, or the cause, is the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is mentioned here as Nimitta Matram, the remote cause. He simply pushes the wheel with his energy. According to the Mayavadi philosophers, the Supreme Brahman has transformed himself into many varieties of forms, but that is not the fact. He is always transcendental to the actions and reactions of the material gunas, although he is the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma says, therefore, in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadiradi Govinda, Sarva Karana. That's the most important statement. Sarva Karana. He is the cause of all causes. There are many causes and effects, but the original cause is Sri Krishna. So that's what we have to teach our children. That's what we have to learn ourselves, first of all, and then teach our children. That Krishna is the cause of all causes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare Krishna. That is our takeaway today. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So everything is controlled by Krishna. Therefore, if we always strive to please Krishna according to his desires, then we please him and we have a very, let's say, peaceful life. But if we only want to please ourselves, then we're going to have a tumultuous life, a difficult life. And you can see that, and people who are only thinking about themselves, they run into a lot of problems. But someone who is very, very Krishna conscious, they usually have a very peaceful life, not be harassed by anything. So we should strive to have a Krishna conscious life, and it will be very peaceful and happy, and not be, let's say, harassed by bad people, by bugs, and by bad karma. Right? We should be satisfied with whatever Krishna gives us, and we should not eat very, let's say, opulent food. We should eat simple foods and not engage in unnecessary sense gratification. In other words, live a very peaceful life. Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you very much. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva Karana Karanam. Always be happy.
One question regarding our text 13.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So it is talking about the three stages, Maharaj. It is saying in the lowest stage, devotee is simply concerned with deity in the temple, and he worships the Lord with great devotion, according to the rules and regulations. And in the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord and his relationship with fellow devotees. So many times we see, Maharaj, mostly in India as well, like priests are giving the topmost priority to the deities than the fellow devotees. So how we can correct them, or how we can educate, because it's a very big, wider problem than even though within ISKCON or outside as well. Like there are some people they are rather than the fellow devotees, they're more importance to the deities.
Well, that is the real devotee respects all people. He gives special respect to devotees and is merciful to all other people. They don't, let's say, ostracize anyone. They always are, inviting people, please come to the temple, please have some prasada, listen to the class, chant Hare Krishna. So they're always well-wishers. They don't say, well, we're having special prasadam in this office. You can come there, let everybody else eat the regular prasadam, but we'll have the maha. No, they don't do that. They say, well, give the maha to everybody. They're not just eating the maha themselves, the maha prasadam. So, okay, so it says here that there are 3 stages of devotional life. In the lowest stage, a devotee is simply concerned with the deity in the temple, and he worships the deity with great devotion, according to the rules and regulations. In the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with fellow devotees, his relationship with persons who are ignorant, innocent, and his relationship with the persons who are envious. Sometimes devotees are ill-treated by envious persons. It is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. He should show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent. A preacher devotee is meant to show mercy to innocent persons whom he can elevate to devotional service. Everyone, by constitutional position, is an eternal servant of God. Therefore, a devotee's business is to awaken everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is his mercy. As for a devotee's treatment of other devotees who are his equals, he should maintain friendship with them. His general view should be to see every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Different living entities appear in different forms of dress, but according to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, a learned person sees all living entities equally. Such treatment by the devotee is very much appreciated by the Supreme Lord. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person is always tolerant and merciful. He is a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and he is peaceful. These are some of the good qualities of a devotee. That is our takeaway today. We should look at this purport. It's very, very good purport. Canto 4, chapter 11, verse number 13. Thank you very much. Meditate on this verse and be happy.
Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.